Wow. Thanks for sending this over to us.
Yeah.
This Motley Fool article, Why Nvidia Stock Could Be Tech's Biggest Bargain in 2025, really caught our attention.
Absolutely. And, published just yesterday, April 10th, 2025. So
Yeah.
really fresh.
Fresh off the presses, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's, for you, the listener, let's dive deep into this and figure out why they're so optimistic about Nvidia.
Right.
Especially, with all the market craziness going on.
Well, and especially because their stock has actually dropped
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Like 28% since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, 28%.
That's a lot.
Quite a dip.
Huge dip.
So to call it a bargain now
Yeah.
is a bold statement.
Yeah.
So we need to break this down carefully.
So first, they start by setting the stage.
Right.
Right. What's going on in the market?
Yeah, what's the context?
What's led to this decline?
Yeah, what are the big factors?
So what do they say?
Well, it seems like a perfect storm.
Okay.
A bunch of things happening at once. First, you've got the trade wars escalating under President Trump.
Right.
And that always makes the market nervous, especially for tech companies.
Yeah, makes sense.
Then there's Microsoft pumping the brakes on building data centers.
Oh, yeah. So...
And those are key for AI,
Oh, yeah. Crucial.
So less demand for data centers means less demand for NVIDIA's chips.
Yeah, their GPUs and everything.
Exactly. And then to top it all off, we have these new reciprocal tariffs.
Right.
Just adding to the instability,
Volatility everywhere.
Yeah. So all of this is putting pressure on tech stocks.
Especially Nvidia, it sounds like.
For sure, they're right in the thick of it.
But here's what I don't get.
Yeah.
They say that with all this bad news, Nvidia's valuation is super low.
Historically low.
Yeah, like 16.3 times projected earnings for 2028.
Right, which seems
off right.
What does make you wonder,
disappointing.
for a company considered a leader in such a high growth area.
Right, exactly.
It seems like the market's freaking out a bit.
Overreacting, maybe.
And maybe not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, maybe just focusing on the short term.
Exactly. And this Motley Fool analysis really emphasizes that.
Right. They think it's a blip, not a trend.
Yeah, that's their take.
Okay, so let's move past the market drama.
Right.
And look at what Nvidia's actually doing.
Yeah, the concrete steps.
Like how they're teaming up with other companies.
Partnerships.
Yeah, especially this one with Alphabet's Google Cloud.
Yeah, that one stood out.
So what's the big idea behind this partnership?
Well, it's all about bringing agentic AI capabilities to businesses.
Agentic AI.
Using Nvidia's Blackwell platform.
So it's not just about faster chips.
It goes way beyond that.
Okay.
It's about a whole new level of AI.
Okay, so back up for a sec. What exactly is agentic AI?
Right, because it's not a term everyone's familiar with.
Yeah, definitely not.
So think of it this way.
Okay.
Agentic AI is all about independence.
Okay.
These systems can make decisions on their own.
So not just responding to commands.
Nope. They can solve problems completely autonomously.
Wow, so like a virtual assistant, they can handle entire projects?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
That's a game changer.
Right.
And how does this Google Cloud partnership help companies use it?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
It's about addressing a huge need for companies dealing with sensitive data,
Ah,
like healthcare, finance, government.
right. High-stakes stuff.
Exactly.
Can't be messing around with that data.
Right. So by letting companies run Google's Gemini AI models locally,
Locally.
yeah, on NVIDIA's Blackwell platform, they get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
Cutting-edge AI, but with complete data control.
So they don't have to send their data to the cloud.
Nope. It all stays in-house, nice and secure.
Which is huge for compliance, right?
Absolutely, and it's becoming more and more important.
Yeah. Data privacy is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Okay, so beyond these cloud partnerships,
Right.
NVIDIA's making moves in the real world too,
Mm-hmm.
especially with robotics.
Yeah, their GTC conference showcase was pretty impressive.
It sounds like it from the article.
Yeah, really highlighted their role in physical AI.
And the growth predictions for the robotics market are insane.
Insane is the right word.
Can you remind us of those numbers?
Sure. So the global robotics market is expected to explode.
Okay.
From $65 billion in 2024 to $376 billion by 2035.
376 billion.
Yeah.
What?
That's a compound annual growth rate of 17%.
So basically it's more than quintupling?
More than that, actually.
Oh, okay.
But what's even crazier is the humanoid robot segment.
Humanoid robots, okay.
Yeah, they're predicting that'll hit $38 billion by 2035.
38 billion just for humanoid robots.
That's right.
Wow. That seems like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, the article says it's a 6-fold increase from earlier predictions.
6-fold increase.
Yeah, and they're attributing it to advances in multimodal physical AI.
Multimodal physical AI.
Which is basically AI that can interact with the physical world.
Okay, so like seeing, feeling, touching.
Exactly, using multiple senses.
Okay, and how does NVIDIA's Isaac Sim software platform fit into all this?
Isaac Sim is like a training ground for robots.
Okay. Developers can build and test robots in a virtual environment.
So like a simulator.
Exactly. And it's a game changer because it speeds up development.
Okay.
They can refine behaviors without risking damage in the real world.
Ah, so they can work out all the kinks before they let the robots loose.
Exactly. And the article even mentioned robotic arms mimicking human movements.
Wow.
It's incredible the level of precision they're achieving.
Okay, so we've got these partnerships, these advancements in robotics.
Right.
And the article's really bold. They say, NVIDIA's competitive advantage is unassailable.
Unassailable. That's a strong word.
What makes them so confident?
Well, they have a few key arguments.
Okay.
First, their dominance in the GPU market is undeniable.
Right. Nobody else comes close.
And their parallel processing architecture is perfect for AI.
Okay, so they have the hardware lockdown.
Yeah. And then there's their CUDA software platform.
CDA.
Which is kind of like the language of AI development.
Okay.
So much is built on CUDA that switching to a competitor is a nightmare. So developers are basically stuck with NVIDIA.
Pretty much it would be incredibly expensive and time-consuming to switch.
Talk about lock-in.
Yeah, huge switching costs.
And it's not just GPUs anymore, right?
You're right. They've expanded their reach across the entire AI stack.
Oh, interesting.
So they have the hardware, the GPUs, the Blackwell platform,
Okay.
but also the networking infrastructure, the software tools like CUDA and Isaac Sim.
Wow, so they're everywhere.
And they're also offering more and more AI-related services.
So it's a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. They're deeply embedded with all the major cloud providers, too.
So it's not just one product, it's a whole integrated system.
Exactly. And that makes them very difficult to challenge.
Yeah, it's like they have a fortress built around their business.
That's a good way to put it.
So let's recap.
Okay.
We have this dip in NVIDIA's stock price.
Yeah.
But the Motley Fool article is saying that's just noise.
Temporary fluctuation.
Yeah, and they're pointing to these partnerships in agentic AI, their leadership in the robotics market.
Yeah. The huge growth potential there.
And this massive competitive advantage they've built.
Right across the entire AI ecosystem.
And all of that leads to what they see as a super low valuation.
A steal, basically.
Yeah. 16.3 times projected 2028 earnings.
They're calling it a downright bargain.
A bargain. Yeah, so what's their overall thesis?
Basically, they think the market is missing the forest for the trees.
Okay.
They're so focused on short-term issues that they're not seeing the long-term potential.
And they think NVIDIA is going to be a major player in the future of computing.
Absolutely. And they believe AI and robotics are going to transform everything.
So even with the trade war worries and all that?
They're saying it's just a bump in the road.
Okay, but let's be real. There are always risks.
Right. Of course, no investment is completely risk-free.
So what are some of the risks they mention?
Well, one risk is that big tech companies could decide to make their own chips.
Ah, yeah. Cut out the middleman.
Exactly. And that could reduce their dependence on NVIDIA.
Okay, so that's one thing to watch out for.
Yeah. Another risk is the rise of open source software.
Okay.
If the AI community moves away from CUDA, that could hurt NVIDIA.
Yeah, take away their lock-in advantage.
Exactly. And finally, they mention the ups and downs of the gaming market.
Right. NVIDIA's been in gaming forever.
Yeah. And that can be unpredictable.
So they're not saying it's a sure thing.
Nope. But they're emphasizing the long-term potential.
And they seem pretty bullish on that.
Extremely bullish. They're saying agentic AI and advanced robotics are going to be extraordinary catalysts.
Extraordinary catalysts. Okay.
Yeah, for NVIDIA stock over the next 10 to 20 years.
So they're thinking long-term.
Very long-term. And they're saying that for investors who can handle some short-term volatility.
A little bit about the storm.
Yeah, the current valuation is a great opportunity.
Okay, so for you, the listener, here's the takeaway. NVIDIA's stock has taken a hit.
Yeah.
But this Motley Fool article is arguing that it's a dip worth buying.
A buying opportunity.
They're pointing to NVIDIA's role in agentic AI and robotics.
Two huge growth areas.
And they're saying NVIDIA has this incredible competitive advantage.
Yeah, they're calling it unassailable.
And all of that leads to what they see as a historically low valuation.
Right. A potential bargain for long-term investors.
Now, keep in mind, there are risks.
Yeah, always risks.
But they believe NVIDIA is positioned to be a leader in the future of computing.
And the AI and robotics are going to drive massive growth.
So as you think about all this, here's a final thought.
Okay.
AI and robotics are evolving so fast.
At an incredible pace.
So how might these growth predictions change in the coming years?
Right. They could accelerate even faster.
Or something totally unexpected could happen.
Who knows?
And what should you, the listener, be watching for to see if this bargain idea holds up?
Yeah, what are the key indicators to track?
It's a fascinating question to consider.
Absolutely.
Because the future of technology is anything but certain.
Yeah, it's full of surprises.
So stay informed, stay curious.
And stay tuned.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
See you then.
See ya.
Bye.